Hi, so my name is Tej Roy, and I was a former student here at the University of Hawaii, Maui College. And I started a worm vermiculture composting bins where we do worm farming, and they turn our leftover foods from our garden here that you can see, and also from aquaponics garden. And we take the scraps from that and we let our worms eat it up, and they go and create very nutritious dirt for our garden. So here we have a worm bin. It's a pretty rustic version, but it's great. And if you come closer, you'll see we've got dry leaves. So when you're doing worm bins, the wider it is and the less deep it is, you're gonna get a bunch of surface area, and those worms really like to feed off of surface area. So if you expose as much fruit and veggies and plant life as you can possibly spread out on the top, they can attack it from all different angles. They can eat it a lot faster, and it's just faster decomposing of all of this material that you have in here. We also have some newspaper, and this is our brown material. So brown material, you want to make sure it's about 60 to 40% ratio. You want about 40% wet moisture and food versus 60% dry. And here we layer it. This layering technique is used for keeping water in the bin, but also to give a little pressure for the worms. And you can see remnants of eggshells that I throw in there to help keep the pH down. You don't want it turning too acidic. So this dirt, I squeeze it and it clumps together, but no water is dripping out. We want it to where water is dripping out. That's going to be about the perfect ratio of moisture. So it's pretty normal in a worm bin to find a lot of other creatures crawling around in here. The more creatures you have, the healthier that soil system is. You want to be inviting to create more and more of an natural organic situation in here, because you want to be recreating the same system as if the worms are in the ground. So worms in the ground, they have atmospheric pressure. So here we're recreating that. And here we've got even some more browns. This is just dried grasses and leaves that have been chopped up. And there's our first little worm. These guys are red wigglers. And they're really interesting because they are hermaphroditic, but they do need another worm to mate with, to swap genetic material with. And they can eat their whole body weight worth of food every day, which is really amazing. And then here's some chard from the aquaponics. Again, I like to just cut things up. It's a preference of the worm farmer how they do their feedings. I just do this so it speeds up the process. So signs that your bin is not doing well, your soil's really, really dry. If it's really smelly, it's not getting enough oxygen. And so it's really important when you're rebuilding your bins here to start with a bunch of dry layers. In this bin I have about 6 inches of ulu leaves, breadfruit leaves, on my bottom. And then I threw all the soil on top along with grass clippings mixed in between. And that way oxygen can come up from the bottom of the bin. It can also come in from the top, and then you have the dissolved oxygen, which is in the water, for the worms. And that air keeps things moving. It keeps things healthier, because without oxygen, it will turn anaerobic, and when things go anaerobic, everything gets really slimy, gets really smelly. You start getting a lot more pests. In these bins, they never smell, or they smell just like dirt. And you always see beetles and things like that in it, but you won't see snails so much, which is another indicator. If you have a bunch of snails, there might be something bad going on with your bin. And see how dark the soil is? This is because it's really healthy. This is ready for harvest actually. And all of this dirt is really, really good dirt for everything.